Recording here. Welcome everybody. This is I forget which number of our district training assembly sessions this is, but this is welcome to the youth service one. And it's going to be a really fantastic night because each of our chairs will be speaking tonight, and they have 9 minutes. I'm going to have a time clock here on each of them. But youth, our district is probably the leader, I think, in Rotary. In youth service, and certainly with our RILA camps and our Pride Camp, and we have over 90 Interact clubs out there in our Early Act clubs. Youth is really at the core of who we are as Rotary District 5330, and so it's very exciting to have everybody here tonight in support of this. And Mary Helen, who's on here, who's co-chairs with Charles James for our youth service. She had her second COVID shot, first or second here, and has some reaction to it. So she's, even though she's with us tonight, she's going to let Charles James, Charlie, take it away, please.
Okay, thank you so much, Rudy. I'd like to welcome everyone for once. Say hello, and thank you for joining us. And I'm Charles James, and I'm co-chair with Mary Helen Tuttle for the Youth Service Chair. And we're going to start with the Early Act. And I don't see Bill on here.
Is there?
Bill? Take it over, Bill, for what you plan on doing for Early Act for the new coming up year. He's brand new, so I'm sure he's going to be trying to find things. So, Bill?
I don't think he's on here with us, Charles. So let's pass him up.
Wrong Bill.
Okay. No,
yeah.
I don't see him.
There he is.
Yeah, maybe when he comes on, we'll let him come in here. So
okay, sounds good. All right. We're gonna go to Interact. Jackie Chapman is the Interact chair. Jackie? There you are, Jackie. Could you give us an idea what you plan on doing and a little bit about Interact for this year?
Jackie, are you on, please?
Are you on, Jackie?
They are all yielding their time to Rotaract.
Oh.
It's gonna have
So I just got kicked out and kicked back on.
Oh, there you are.
Okay.
I'm back.
Okay, good. All right.
Did I miss anything?
No, you're up.
Oh.
You want to go ahead and share with us?
You know what?
Coming up here?
I don't have a screen to share this year. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Jackie Chapman. I am from Desert Hot Springs Rotary. I've been a Rotarian for just over 5 years. I am my club's community service chair. This will be my 3rd year, as well as the Interact district chair this current year and then the upcoming year, as well as going into the Interact advisor for our Desert Hot Springs Interact Club. So that's what I do. As far as Interact, for those of you that don't know what Interact is a youth-based Rotary club at the high school and middle school level. So they can either be on campus or community-based. Most of our Rotary clubs work with a school, and so they are on campus. But there are a few that are off campus. Again, the middle school Interact club that I run is a community-based because we have 2 middle schools. And instead of having separate clubs on each campus, we have a community-based Interact club. So Interact can meet the needs of your community, of your schools, and of your club, depending on how you want to set up your Interact clubs. A lot of the clubs already have existing Interact clubs. And so this past year, we've had a little difficulty keeping the Interact clubs going because of people not being allowed on campus. And so in the beginning of this Rotary year, we had talked about what we were going to do when school opened, and that just didn't happen. And so a lot of the clubs went dark because, again, if they had on-campus advisors, a lot of those clubs weren't happening. And so when I was speaking to Mary Helen about what we were going to do going forward, I really think we're going to be in a rebuilding year, trying to get Interact reactivated, working with the schools to get back on campus and continue to do service projects. Speaking to incoming District Governor Dan Goodrich, his major project this year is involving human trafficking. And so we've talked about how that project will work with the Interact clubs. And so that will be probably the focus of what a lot of clubs will be doing, is focusing on this district project. I don't have a lot of other updates, so I'm open to questions that people may have about starting an Interact club. We do have a District 5330 Facebook page. We have a District 5330 private group for advisors at the Early Act, Interact, and Rotaract level. So that keeps communication going with all of our district youth clubs. And so I'm happy to share that information with anybody who's interested. I'm also going to be reaching out to all of the youth chairs to get an update on what their clubs have been doing and how they're going to move forward with their Interact clubs, and try to re-engage the clubs that went dark on Interact in the coming few weeks. So I can defer my time to Manzoor. Unless there's any questions.
Marilyn has a question.
Oh, Marilyn King has a question. Go ahead, Marilyn.
Yeah, thank you. I'm a new Rotarian, and my question is, not being familiar with the Interact clubs, are there skills-based trainings that are generally available to this age group that are common, or is it uncommon? What's the status of kind of skill-based trainings for these groups?
As far as training the Rotarians to be an Interact advisor, there are some booklets and different Rotary material. And then if you're starting a new club, there are some guidelines that you would want to work out with the school. But as far as what happens in the actual Interact club, that really is up to the advisor, whether it's a Rotarian advisor. Like I said, some Interact clubs have Rotarian advisors as well as a school advisor. And so it depends on what the school advisor and the club advisor, how they're going to work together. Some clubs don't have a Rotarian involved. They just have a school advisor. And so they work a little differently than those that have a Rotarian in the classroom. So if there's a Rotarian in the classroom, they may focus on some of the Rotary ideas, our avenues of service, four-way test, those kinds of things. When there's an advisor that isn't a Rotarian, I'm not sure exactly how they carry through the Rotary message to the Interact club. I haven't worked with those on-campus only advisors very closely.
So there's not
Did that answer your question?
There's not like a buffet of whether it's, public speaking or conflict resolution or performance. There's not a buffet that is generally available through these clubs. Sounds like it's a very individual, what people have interest in.
Well, one of the things that they talk about with setting goals is doing a community assessment. And so you would, informing that club, you would look at what the community, being the school or that Interact club, wants to do. So some are very campus project oriented. Some are community project oriented. Some are, we work on four-way test speech competition or helping them with college scholarships. So you have to look at what your group of interactors really needs and what their, how would you assess what the club could do for those students and their community as well as their school.
Thank you.
And I think to go forward on that, each Interact club is set up like a Rotary club. So they learn leadership skills, how to hold a board meeting, different positions, those kind of things. Are you, Jackie, you're planning on having an Interact conference in the next year?
I am. Again, we didn't have a conference this year. We didn't have an Interact district assembly. And so we will be, again, if we can get cleared for groups, we will definitely be doing that.
Okay. Is there any in the future here in the next year or two, putting together a structure with our Interact clubs, since we have so many, more than our Rotary clubs, of almost an Interact district within our district?
So are you talking about like smaller
No.
districts of Interact Club? So maybe something in San Bernardino? Is that what you're?
No, I'm thinking
No,
we have
no.
90 Interact clubs. We could have an Interact district within our district. So we could have an Interact governor, a whole set of leadership with take it to the next level.
That would be interesting, and I would be happy to work on that if someone wanted to start working. I got an email from a student who was talking about grouping together the 7 Interact clubs that were in their area, kind of how we have zones, or not zones, but areas within our district, and each one has an assistant governor that kind of helps monitor that stuff. So that might be something that would fit into that kind of framework as well. So definitely getting the kids having their own structure, I think would be an excellent idea.
Yeah, super. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the excellent idea, Jackie. Something that we can work on in the future. If not getting it going this year, maybe that's something that we can do some guidelines on for the following year.
Yep, that sounds
Okay.
great.
Mr. Mansour, are you ready?
Absolutely.
All right. Go
Well,
for it.
first of all, I would like to thank Governor Dan and the leadership team for giving me the opportunity to chair the Rotaract program. My feeling is that the past district governors, and I'm not speaking about you, Rudy, here, past district governors are usually treated like old cows that are given the milk they no longer needed. But I felt very honored that I was requested to lead out in a youth group, which is Rotaract. My real inspiration to accept the position came during my visit to India. I visited District 2982 to represent the RI President Maloney. And I met a governor there who formed 43 Rotary clubs in 1 year, 98 Interact clubs, and 28 Rotaract clubs. And I learned the structure from them, what makes these movements grow, whether it's a Rotary, Rotaract, Interact, or Early Act, what make these movements grow? And so I said, yes, I would like to go ahead and lead out in the Rotaract program. The first thing, if you could please share the screen with me, I have a PowerPoint that I will share.
You're able to share it unless you want me to launch the PowerPoint.
Oh, I see. Just a minute. Then I go back.
Make sure your PowerPoint's on your desktop, ready to go, and you click on the bottom of your screen, share screen, and you should bring it up.
Okay, I thought that I was going to. Now I lost it. Well, it's. Do you have PowerPoint?
Let me launch it, and I'll advance the slides.
Yeah, that's how. Okay, that's good. Thank you very much. And so District 2982 really inspired me, and I have received some real special information that I would like to share, the structure-wise, how to have the Rotaract grow. I know that we are really the champion in youth programs, and but I felt that our Rotaract program really needed a lot of structure so that we could really grow consistent with our other image in other areas. And the next slide, maybe, okay. Is it possible for me to advance the slides?
No, I can do it. You can.
Okay.
I have to advance them. So.
Okay, sure. So we're going to focus on young professionals. And the goal is to change the world for good. And the world we change is the world we touch. And how do we scout the Rotaractors? And the group is between the Interact and the Rotarians. We always talk about that we are going to have them treated just like Rotarians. They are Rotarians. There's no difference. But we really have not created a structure for them to be Rotarians, and that's we'll be focusing on. And so where do we scout these people? And next slide, we find that here are scout group. You will know most of these people. Any movement you want to launch, you cannot depend on one individual. And I tried that in membership program when we have the group of people working on membership, or then you will succeed. But a lone ranger would not be able to move membership forward or even the Rotaract program. So here are the team members. You know them all. And the gentleman here, Dr. Gary Kerstetter, he is the professor at Loma Linda University School of Medicine, School of Dentistry. And we are currently talking about championing the kind of idea, the idea of Rotaract as a Rotary group and selling it to the entire university so that the students coming in for their first, second, third year, they will join Rotary as Rotaractors. And so we have an anticipation that their global health program would actually kick up the movement. And they will get credit for their study. And here are some of the places where we will be looking for. University Association, Student Association, junior colleges, and I am currently making appointments with junior college presidents. I want to go back to so that we could propose this whole program to the junior colleges as well. Chambers of Commerce, faith communities, young adult program, youth service programs, leaders, Interact club presidents, and RILA leaders, young business owners, women association, and others. These are all the types of locations where we will find these young professionals. Next. The next slide, we find here, what is our goal? To develop a comprehensive Rotaract program that would provide opportunities for young professionals to experience personal professional growth and find opportunities to make a difference on their campuses as well as on their communities. In the next slide, we find that in order for us to really make this a successful movement, the team that I showed you earlier, we're going to do collective visioning, collective voice, collective ownership, collective action, and meaningful engagement and personal growth for the Rotaractors and genuine recognition of individuals' contributions to the cause. And this will be the structure that we'll be developing. Most importantly, we must empower youth and young professionals by giving their substantive, meaningful roles in Rotary, not traditional, that are traditionally assigned to the seasoned Rotarians. It will require radical mind realignment on the part of the seasoned Rotarians. And the next slide, we find that the youth and young professionals do not want to work in isolation without the benefit of care, support, and mentoring by older Rotarians. However, their role must not be relegated to filling in the technology gaps or simply to lower the average age of the group. They must be treated like everyone else in the Rotary family. And that's the structure being developed for that. And here we find the education. Young people need to hear the story, and this slide is very important. They need to hear the Rotary story in order for them to champion the cause and support the mission. We need to help them write their own Rotary story. And how do they develop their own Rotary story? They write their Rotary story best by being part of the leadership team for training assemblies, district conferences, vocational training teams, and also coordinating speakers for their own clubs, and by engagement in international service projects, global grants, community service projects. I've been hearing that they are same as Rotarians. We treat them like Rotarians, but they do not have the roles in our clubs that the Rotarians play. And so this whole year, we'll be focusing, how can we help them taste what real Rotary life is all about. In the next slide, we find it takes genuine relationship and bonding to treat them. No, I'm sorry, one back. Can we go back? Okay. And to attend a district conference to represent, or as I mentioned earlier, that they had 3,400 people at the district conference. It was all organized by Rotaractors and the young professionals. No one was over 40 that really brought out this convention. And it just really looked like it was a RI convention. And so they have the creativity if we simply let them loose. Next slide. We find here that they may not have financial capability, but they are indispensable. They are like young trees in an orchard. The survival of the orchard depends on them. The issue of the fee or the dues has been raised over and over and over. RI recently said, okay, it'll be $7 a year. And I am so fired up about including them into the Rotary family. I will pay for the first 100 people, or even more, 200 people for them, for their dues, if that becomes an issue. But I think $7 would not be an issue. The issue will be whether the district will charge them any dues. If the district does not charge, this program could really bloom in this year. And Rotary is very, I must say, we have way past our Social Security age in terms of Rotary family. And we need to pass the torch on to the new generation. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Okay, here are some of the building blocks. The first one is that each district, as you know, and our district included, we have many, many Interact clubs. And so example 53, we invest a large amount of money in RILA, 600 youth, but what is source for future Rotaractors? And then in the with the international planning, intentional planning, I should say, intentional planning and focus strategies, there can be dozens of Rotaract clubs in our district. They are seeking meaningful engagement. And so I'll be asking all our clubs to find out how can they create meaningful engagement for these young professionals. And we can invest time in mentoring young entrepreneurs who need guidance. They are perfect candidates for being Rotary. RILA and senior Interact club members, young teachers, youth in colleges, all of these folks are real candidates for becoming Rotarians. And it's a matter of focus. So the tech industry, social service organization, faith communities, a great reservoir for Rotaractors. So I will just leave it at there and have you give some feedback or ask some questions. And 9 minutes is barely enough to do the introduction of this project, but I tried to run like a bullet train here. Hopefully you got the overall smattering of it.
Yeah, you did pretty good. I'm glad you had your sneakers on with your tie tonight.
Does anyone have any questions real fast before we move on to the next one? For Mansoor?
Well, I would just, I would request all of you to please think hard. If you have people who can help with this team, I am still wanting more people. We have right now 12 people. I would like to have maybe 15 or 20 people who could help us really get in touch with the entrepreneurial, the chambers of commerce, whoever has connections with these reservoirs, please have them get in touch with me.
Okay. I saw a hand, Jamie.
Hi, just quick question for budget purposes for next year. What's the percentage of RILA happening? Do you have any idea?
We don't know yet. That's something that Mike Norkin's going to talk about when he comes on, if he comes on.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Let's jump on the youth exchange.
Okay. Before we go to youth exchange real fast, I wanted to go over Early Act, and then I'll come back to you, Dick, if it's okay. Those that don't know what Early Act is, it's for elementary school kids. And it's almost just like Interact and Rotaract. It's just the younger kids doing basically the same thing. Miss Brown last year, she had an outstanding program, and she had 5 early act clubs going. So we're looking forward to that for next year as well. So if you have any questions on early act, that'd be great.
James, I just have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
As you and Mary Helen are chairing the youth program and Rotaract come under it, think about what are you investing to build the Rotaract program. I know we are investing a lot on RILA and others, but what are we investing? You follow the money. You want to grow a movement, follow the money. So I would like you to kind of think seriously, what are we investing to grow the Rotaract program if we want more Rotarians? That's what we're talking about, really membership for Rotary. And if you're talking about membership for Rotary, and we are going after the young professionals, new business people, women's associations to become members of our, and we want to do that through Rotaract, what investment are we making other than talking? So think about that in leadership meetings.
Okay, I will definitely think about that. Okay, we're gonna move on to Dick Shaw and the youth exchange.
Okay, yeah, my name is Dick Shaw. I've been a Rotarian for 22 years. I've been the Youth Exchange Chair for the last 7. I have an assistant this year, Stephanie Witkowski. She was the one with holding the baby earlier. She's my assistant this year. She actually was an exchange student herself. Next year, this is my last full year as chair. Next year, she's taking over as chair, and I will be her assistant. So still heavily involved. So anytime you have any questions, feel free to call either one of us. I believe that Youth Exchange is Rotary's best kept secret. Believe it or not, we are the largest exchange program in the entire world by a long shot. Rotary is involved in over 8,000 exchanges every year. And I would be willing to bet that not all of you who are in attendance tonight were even aware that we have a youth exchange program. Best kept secret, especially in Southern California. Parts of the Midwest, not so. Parts of Europe, not so at all. In fact, great article here. I'll hold it up. You can't see it, that's right, because of the screen. Never mind. Anyway, it was in the September 2020 issue of Rotary Magazine, and there's a very lengthy article written by none other than Roger Knack, our RI president. And I'm just going to quickly go through the first paragraph. Rotary Youth Exchange, one of the many programs for youths and young adults that we celebrate this month, was my path into true engagement in Rotary. My wife, Suzanne, and I began hosting exchange students soon after I joined, and the experience helped me go from simply being a member of my Rotary Club to being a true Rotarian. Now, Rotary Youth Exchange is a family tradition and a strong one. Over the past 24 years, we have hosted 43 students. That's crazy. Anyway, that's our own RI president, who obviously believes very strongly in the program. So, real quickly, 5330 is part of a multi-district, multi-Rotary district corporation that helps facilitate youth exchange. It's been around for years. Mike Behrens, can you unmute? When was SCANX founded? What year?
I'm sorry?
When was SCANX founded? What year?
Oh, I couldn't tell you, but I think it was 15 years ago.
15 years ago, could be right. Stands for Southern California, Arizona, Nevada Exchange. It also now involves Hawaii and Utah. So a total of 9 Rotary districts. All of the Rotary volunteers work together to ensure a very successful exchange. It's gotten very complicated. There's lots of compliance issues. So this district does not do it alone. We do it with 8 other districts. For what it's worth, among the 6 Southern California districts, in terms of youth exchange, 5330 normally is number 2 in terms of numbers, which of course there's lots of measures of success. Numbers is one of them. Okay, why do we do it? What's the point? What's the value in youth exchange? Just a long-term vacation for a teenager, right? Wrong. Much, much more than that. Several reasons I will go over. students become obviously better world citizens. They learn a new culture and language. And when you attend school in another country for an entire school year, you truly become immersed in that culture and in the language. You become fluent, and I mean fluent in another language, in a foreign language. That has a lot of value. One of the milestones the kids look forward to is the first time they dream in a foreign language. You know, if they're over here, inbounds are here, outbounds we send abroad. Self-explanatory, but it's a milestone. They always love it. Said, Dick, I had my first dream in English. You know, this is from an Italian girl or something. They also become future Rotarians. Mansour brought up earlier the value of membership. House phones ring. Not anymore. The value of membership. These kids often become future Rotarians. College applications. Probably most of you know that's very hard to get into college these days. Everybody has stratospheric GPAs. They're involved in extracurricular activities, school government, sports, what have you. How do you set yourself apart? If you can put on your resume that you spent an entire year abroad as an exchange student, that has a lot of value. Very often you'll find that they will sink close to the top of the pile, or will ascend close to the top of the pile. It is truly a life-changing experience. The students return home and will never be the same. They have gained an understanding and appreciation of the differences and similarities of the peoples of the world that surpass anyone's imagination. And I think finally, and probably most important, and it truly gets to the core of what Rotary is all about, to promote peace and understanding in the world. We only fight with those that we don't understand. Carl Wilhelm Stenhammar, who was RI president in 05-06, addressed the United Nations in November of 06, and he told them, and I quote, "If we could have every 17-year-old be an exchange student, we would have no more wars," end quote. Just like polio, one vaccination at a time, one teenager at a time. I am not suggesting that in my lifetime, we're going to be exchanging with Afghanistan. But in my grandkids' lifetime, who knows? It certainly is a possibility. So that's why we do it. It is not just a long-term vacation for a teenager. It has real value to the kids that are involved and the world at large. It truly does. That's why we do it, how we do it. If you want to sponsor, your club wants to sponsor an outbound exchange student, the time to really start thinking seriously about it would be around August, September, October of this year for the next school year. By the way, obviously, you know, COVID, the onslaught of COVID sent a lot of kids home early. This current year, we do not have an exchange program. This next school year, we will not have an exchange student program. But going forward, which is 22-23, we certainly plan on having, you know, an exchange student program. The time to get ready for that year is, like I say, October, September, August, September, October of this year. So what do? Be thinking at that time of a teenager that you know, a quality teenager who would really benefit from being an exchange student. That student should, above average intelligence, be a representative of the US and of Rotary International, be resilient, be a self-starter. Those are the qualities that we look for. If you identify that student, you needn't do any more other than an informal interview, maybe a couple of members of your club, talk to the student, make sure that he or she, you know, is dedicated, really has some interest. And if you decide, yes, we believe that this student would be a good representative of Rotary and of the United States, that's all you need to do. The rest is up to Stephanie and me. They will receive a very brief one-page application that they fill out. And then if that's looked at and gets accepted, and most likely it will, you know, we don't reject too many people, okay? Once in a great while do we say, you know, this kid is just not mature enough, too young, not a self-starter, have them come back next year. That is a rarity. And the rest, like I said, is up to Stephanie and me. Then they will complete a very lengthy online application. And when I say your club will sponsor that person, it's just saying, yeah, we think that that kid is a good kid, will be a good exchange student. And by the way, that student will thank you in spades forever for the experience, I assure you. The only thing that we'd ask of your club is, maybe invite the student to a couple of Rotary meetings. So, they learn a little bit about Rotary and they get that, there's some adult Rotarians behind that individual hoping for a successful exchange. That's all. It doesn't cost your club any money whatsoever. So let's talk about the finances. Currently, it costs $5,500. That's subject to change to send the kid overseas to go on exchange. And that might sound like a lot, but it is the cheapest by far. If you were to research other programs, you'll find out that that's the case. Reason being is the work is done by volunteers, by Rotarians on both sides of the ocean to ensure the success of the exchange. So the $5,500 gets you the big expenses, of course, airfare, changeable airfare, because you can't pinpoint the date the student's going to come back. Insurance, those are the two big expenses. That $5,500 also pays for 2 overnight orientations prior to departure, the second one of which includes at least one, if not both of the parents. In other words, both are invited. At least one must attend the second orientation. So it includes 2 overnight orientations, meals, hotel, etc., and the orientation itself. And then some incidentals. They wear blue blazers. They all get these blue blazers, pins, business cards, T-shirts, whatever, all the incidentals that go along with that. So you get a lot in return. Oh, and you also receive, from your hosting country, the equivalent of $100 a month stipend, mad money, just allowance to be spent for fun. So you also get that. So that adds up as well. So that's what you get for sending the student overseas. And like I say, the time frame on that, August, September, October, around there, that's when you should start looking for the kids. So try to make a note, put it on your calendar, find students that that might benefit from being an exchange student. If you send a student, this district does not require, I do not yet require, and probably won't, that you host a student and return. Some districts require that. If you're going to send a student, you have to agree to host a student. We're not there. Maybe we will be it someday, but it's certainly hoped, excuse me, trying to talk fast to get done in 9 minutes. If I'm not there, Charles, let me know.
Okay, you're doing good.
Okay. So it is hoped and kind of expected that you will host a student, but it's not mandatory. Hosting a student will cost you a little money because just like our outbounds receive the equivalent of $100 a month, so too do our inbounds. And that's not a district expense, that's a club expense. So if you agree to host a student, not mandatory, but if you agree to host, it'll be $100 a month for 10 months, something like that. And then you'll find yourself, you want to pay perhaps for, their cap and gown or their if they play sports and there's a fee involved, something like that, their yearbook, you find you might want to kick in for that. And also they will automatically, regardless of the year in school, they go to RILA. So they should be part of the club budget for RILA, but you already budget money for that, so that shouldn't be an issue. So that's what happens when you host. Both the students who go abroad and the students that come here, they will go on weekend trips. Like I said, SCANX, there's 6 districts in Southern California. We get together for things. They have a great time. We go to, we teach them how to surf on Huntington Beach, and all these are overnight expeditions. In December, early December, typically we go down to Coronado. Remember, this is all the districts in Southern California, and we all get together, and the exchange students love seeing each other. They're sharing stories. They're having a wonderful time. Very, very meaningful. Excuse me. I think that's basically it. I'm probably done with 9 minutes, aren't I?
Yeah, you're getting close there.
Okay. Stephanie, do you have anything to add, or are there any questions?
To add, I mean, obviously Dick's been doing it for 7 years. He has such an excellent presentation. I would just say that we would be so happy to talk to your club. We'd be so happy to be a program. We've done some really excellent virtual programs where we bring in former exchange students. And I'm certainly happy to talk about my experience as an exchange student. That's the reason I'm a Rotarian today. It absolutely opened my eyes to Rotary. And so I'm excited to talk about that. I'm happy to join any clubs and share more. And I will also pop my email in the chat here for you.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, if you and Dick would both put your emails in the chat box there so people can get a hold of you.
And let me add to that, one of the most interesting programs a lot of clubs are having is what she just mentioned. Zoom meeting allows us, unless it's an evening meeting, Zoom meeting, I can bring in kids from Europe who are present at your Zoom meeting to talk about their experience. You will enjoy it, guaranteed.
Yeah, Dick, David Wick, you have a question?
No.
Or who did it? Oh, David Stack.
Correct.
Strack. Oh, I'm sorry.
Who picks the country the students from the USA would go to? Do
they get to express their top 5 choices. The powers that be do everything that they can, that we can, to accommodate their choice. Can't always happen because, you know, the slots, if you will, are arranged ahead of time with our trading partners, if you will. So we've got 3, we can send 3 students, and this is all of Scanx, 9 districts. We can send 4 students to France. We can send 5 students to Italy. And if 8 people want to go to Italy, can't happen. But we do everything we can to make it happen, to give people at least, you know, one of their top 3 choices.
Okay. Anyone else have any more questions before we move on?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Good show. I don't see Mike Norkins on yet. So I just want to run over RYLA real fast. Is one of our largest youth programs that we have in our district, and it is for juniors. It's a 3-day weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday weekend. It's a camp at Thousand Pines, and each Rotary Club sponsors as many kids as they can afford to go. What RYLA means is youth leadership. No, I'm sorry. Rotary. Rotary.
Charlie.
Yeah, I know. Rotary
Charlie.
Youth Leadership Award. And we do have juniors that go to participate in that. So if you want to get involved with that, please get a hold of Mike Norkins. We're not for sure exactly what his plans are right now. I do know that their team is working on something. Going to be with the Thousand Pine Camp Resort. So as soon as they figure that out, we will be letting the district know. Also, there's a camp with Pride. Pride is for 12-year-olds, 7th graders, and they have a Saturday and a Sunday, 1 night and 2 days up there, and same thing with that. And they're pretending right now. Date is November the 20th and the 21st. Okay, so if you want to put that in your calendar, and maybe you guys can sponsor a couple 12-year-olds. Okay, and Rudy, do we got anything else?
I thought we would mention Charlie there. When our students they go to RYLA, the graduates from that basically apply to see if they want to be leaders when they're seniors.
Yes.
And so they are the RYLA alumni and help run the camp. And so it's an additional leadership experience for them. They also help run the camp for our Pride Camp, the alumni do. So it's an opportunity for growth for our youth, and it's a life-changing experience. Also, I believe we have the largest overnight RYLA in the world in our district. And it's an opportunity for between 60 and 70 adults, Rotarians, to go up and volunteer to be discussion group leaders with their own little team of 6 or 7 students. That'll be their little family for that 3 days or 2 days for either camp. And it's tribal elders over in Pride and discussion group leaders in RYLA. And it's a life-changing experience for you. You'll make friends with these young people who will be like your own kids, and they'll communicate with you for the rest of your life. It is really a rewarding experience to volunteer at these camps, and it is, again, all volunteers. One of the things, Charlie, if anybody wants to be involved with youth, you have to be live scanned. So please, if you want to do the camps, get with our Matt Smith, who's our youth protection chair for our youth protection officer for our district. Get the form, be live scanned, because protection of our youth is top level importance. And Dick mentioned about youth exchange as well. If you home host a student, your whole family has to be live scanned. Make sure that we protect those children that are coming over, and that they're that's our highest level of concern, is protecting our youth out there in all of our programs. And we know that next week we also have a program on youth protection that Matt Smith will be doing next week. And so
it'll be on the 28th of next week.
Right. And so we need to make sure that every club attends that to learn about youth protection training and make sure that we are all up to speed on these things. We protect our youth. We also protect ourselves, and we'll learn how to do the right thing out there around people so that there's no question about what's happening out there. And so this is our future. And again, our district is a leader in youth. Elizabeth, unmute yourself over there.
Can I just jump in for 1 second?
Please
to
do.
Add into what Rudy's saying is the live scan that we get through Rotary is good to work with kids for Rotary. A lot of school districts, if you're doing an Interact club, you also have to be live scanned through that particular school district. So if the school district asks you to be live scanned and you know you're live scanned through Rotary, they can't use that live scan. So just make sure that you have both of them if you're going to be working on campus with kids.
Thank
you.
Jackie.
Bring that up, Jackie. That is a good point.
Yeah, that's good. Elizabeth, you want to talk about Pride at all?
Sure, I'd love to. So Pride, like Rudy said, it's for 7th graders. It is, I think, one of the most fulfilling experiences that this district can do. I encourage everybody to at least go to Pride or RYLA once. RYLA is what hooked me into becoming a Rotarian. The youth in our district are the most important people. And with this day and age and everything happening at the schools, especially in the middle schools, I think that we really need to focus on encouraging these kids to lead themselves before they lead others. And that's what Pride is about. Pride is about leading themselves or leading yourself. RYLA is about leading others. And so before they can lead others, they need to learn lead themselves. Again, I encourage everybody to attend one of the camps in any role that you're comfortable with. We are always looking for tribal elders. I'm sure Mike Norkin is always looking for DGLs. We struggle every year to get enough adult chaperones, and that's unfortunate with the number of Rotarians that we have in our district. We'd like to see more support. It is overnight, but it is only about 30 or 35 hours out of your entire year. Encourage your club members, Mary Helen, Charles, Jackie, myself, we are always willing to come to clubs and speak about Pride. And we show videos, we answer questions. It can be scary at first, but trust me, you'll get hooked.
That's good. And so there are opportunities, as Elizabeth mentioned, the theme's a little different with Pride than RYLA. So those are tribal elders, and each group is broken up based on that. And then the discussion group leaders over in RYLA, but then there are also cabin monitors because they stay on camp for one night or 2 nights, depending on which camp that is. And so girls are in the girls' cabins, boys in the boys' cabins. And it's if you like sleeping with noisy bunk beds, it's a great time.
The boys are noisy. The girls just are chatty.
Yeah, I don't know about that. So I know the boys are noisy. So
not true.
Not true.
But it is a great time. It's and again, you know, I know Charles, you guys and Mary Helen have led a great team here that you put together. And again, thank you for all the work we do in our district for youth. It's second to none. Again, with over 90 Interact clubs. And if you look at 20 members per club, we impact, 2,000 high school students out there and their families because they reach out and touch people out there. So what we do with training on young folks and helping them advance their life and leadership skills is second to none. So thank you all your youth chairs out there in your groups for the great job you're doing, and Rotarians for supporting that.
Does Adrian Poindexter still do our life scans?
She is actually moving out of the district. So you can go to your local sheriff station, police station, and get those done. There may be some other folks out there. Matt Smith, if you need the forms, Matt Smith will email that to you. It actually has the number, so that form comes back to him, and he catalogs those. They're in locked cabinets. All that's secure on your information, but our district collects that.
You have to have the form before you go to the station. The police station or sheriff station can't give you the form. You have to have the right DOJ number.
Correct.
Right.
Rudy?
Yeah, go ahead, Dick.
Yeah, real quick. You can't really see it. I have a beautiful flyer that my email address is on the chat. If you want to get a copy of this flyer, you can print as many as you want and distribute to any potential outbound candidates that you identify, in the next few months. So just let me know by email if you want to receive a copy of that. It's a great looking, colorful flyer.
Thanks, Dick.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any more questions before we close out our session here? I think we have about 6 minutes.
This has been really great. And, they mentioned in the youth camps, and I might just mention this for all of you who have never been to camp. On Saturday at Ryla, if you live here in our district and you'd like to come up to camp, you're welcome to come to camp. And I think in the afternoon, Mike usually has Rotarians come up and just take a look at what camp is involved in. But in both camps, one of the things that happens the first night in both camps is called Culture Walk. And we know that our children go through a lot today in their lives that maybe we didn't experience in our lives, but in a variety of things. So it's really to level the playing field for them to know that everybody has issues in their family life and their school life and those kind of things, but we're all together here at camp. And they think they're going to go on a hike in the middle of the night, but they actually go to break them up into groups about 75 with an adult leader. And we bring them into a room. Their cell phones are off. There's no pictures, recordings, anything like that. They sit on the floor. And we ask if you're part of this group, step forward. And we ask them 3 questions. What's it feel like to be part of this group? What do you never want to hear again about being part of the group? And what can we do to support your group? And so we start off with something simple, like if you're female, come forward. And so the girls come forward and the boys have to be quiet and they listen to what the girls say to those 3 questions. If you're male, step forward, same way. And then if you're bullied, the stage is full of kids who've been bullied. And certainly today with cyberbullying, it's worse than ever was before. And when one 7th grade girl shared that her best friend had been cyberbullied and hung herself, I'm choked up right now thinking about it because I was in that session, leading the session. Everybody's in tears over here. And certainly it was a young 7th grade girl from Yucaipa and been cyberbullied and hung herself. And everybody embraced that girl on stage and what she was going through at that time. And then we go on to some other ones. If you've ever seen abuse or been abused, and one little boy shared that what he would like was for his mother's boyfriend to quit beating her. And of course, some of these are reportable things, so we got the police involved. But these are things the kids are going through in their lives. But after that night, they're like a family unit. They've embraced each other. They know they're not alone. And they support each other like never before. And it changes the whole feeling of that camp for the next day or 2 days. I'm choked up now because I was leading these camps. And our children are suffering today. And so our support for youth in Rotary saves their lives, changes their lives forevermore. And what you do out there in your clubs changes these kids' lives and saves their lives. Thank you for what you do for youth. I can't thank you enough. It's just, I'm choked up right now. It's overpowering for me that we're able to impact thousands of kids every year and make a difference in their lives, and as Rotarians. And I thank you all for stepping up and making a difference in these kids' lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Rudy. That was outstanding, and that is so true. Once you get involved with our youth and everything like that, and you become a part of them, you pretend like you are you. So it goes really, really far. Our time is about to run out. I want to say thank you for participating tonight. If you have any questions in the future, please contact some of our chair people and ask any kind of question. If you want them to come to your clubs to talk about any department that they're doing. And if you can't get a hold of them, you can get a hold of myself or Mary Helen, and we will definitely point you in the right direction of which way you need to go. Okay, so I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Rudy, for hosting this. And thank you all, Rotarians.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, Rudy.
everybody. All right, thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.